Introduce yourself first. Tell us what school you're from and how long you've been teaching.
So I'm Zach Bennett and I'm at Higher Elementary School. I'm a fourth grade dual language teacher and this is going to be the start of my 9th year teaching this fall.
Awesome. I'm Rachel Levy. I teach third grade at Higher Elementary and I am going into my 5th year of teaching.
Awesome. So what are some ways that you guys are incorporating social emotional learning into your classroom or teaching social emotional learning?
So I do my lessons a couple times a month, usually at the end of the day. And I have also not only taken those lessons, but also extended them into other areas of my teaching, including a bullying project that my students did. They did research about bullying and then wrote a letter to a senator or a representative from the state of Wisconsin asking for bullying laws to be enacted. They also worked on signing an anti-bullying promise in my classroom to say that they would stand up for people being bullied and speak out against it. So I've been able to try to incorporate it that way. I also have tried to incorporate it into other literacy units as well. Stories that we read, examples of other things that are going on within the world, and taking those situations and talking about how they relate to our second step learning.
Awesome. And I have a time, kind of like Zach, we build off of a lot of things we're doing in our classrooms already, whether it be in social studies or in language workshop. But we have a time every morning for a morning meeting. We spend about 10 or 15 minutes kind of just checking in, launching our day, and we always have some sort of teaching point to share or discuss with the students. And we also build it into our workshop time. So after we have math workshop or after we have readers workshop, we always meet in a circle and talk about like what things went well, what things didn't, and just ways to kind of highlight some of the things we're talking about in our second step lessons or other things we've learned, just so they can really see how they can apply these skills like while they're at school or outside of school every single day.
What do you guys find helpful about teaching social emotional learning in your classroom?
Okay, so I've been only focusing really on second step this year, but I really enjoy how it provides teachers with a scripted script, which allows you to at least have questions that you can use. It provides you with a progression of the questions to try to get to the real meat and bones of what the unit is about. I agree that also allows for a common language to be used amongst the school as well, so that way as students move up, they're able to use the same language, especially too with the counselor lessons, they can tie that in as well. I think that the situations that are provided in the movies relate well with students, things that actually would happen in school or maybe at home or in their community. So those are situations that are real, that are meaningful to those students. And I really like the application activities that are after the lesson, because then it allows the students to take what they've learned and really apply that to practicing and what they know as well.
Like Zach, I also value the second step lessons, but I've started to pull in a lot of other resources too to just keep things rolling throughout the school year. So one resource I really love is Zones of Regulation, and I think it really gives students ownership of identifying feelings and identifying calming techniques that work for them. And so I take a lot of time during the launch of the school year to use their lessons and reflection tasks to get students thinking about themselves, but then also recognizing those same things in others, and it creates a common language for our classroom and our community discussions throughout the year. I also slowly pull in some of the habits of mind too. So we talk about persistence, we talk about responding with wonderment or being impulsive, and some of that language is really great when you are reflecting during workshop time especially. And we also love some of the tribes community builders, just using those as a good way to connect or recognize other people for whatever they're doing, things they're great at, things that they've improved on, that type of stuff. So like I said, I think all those resources have helped us create a common language for our students. I think they also help them develop empathy because they're recognizing when they're using it, and they're able to because you're talking about it, they're aware of it, and then they're able to verbalize it themselves. And I also, like, through the zones of regulation, but then also like guidance lessons or whenever else we're giving them a resource for like a calming technique, or they're talking about just different feelings they have or leaders in their lives, they put it in a reflection binder, and then that reflection binder becomes a resource they use all year long in our, like, when they're feeling upset or whatnot in the calming space. So I think that is really helpful, just to have that bank of resources that they can use on their own whenever, wherever. And then I think that the conversations around these things, like continuously, like I said, we do it every day during morning meeting, but just continuous conversation keeps it alive and keeps it present in your classrooms. And we really love to include like design challenges or team builders, and then use that reflection time after that to actually like bring these things to their awareness, and so they can talk about it as well, because when they can talk about it, they're really owning and understanding it.
Mm-hmm. Anything that you guys would add, any advice for beginning teachers that are rolling this out?
I think I would start with just coming in with the awareness that, like, not every single strategy or learning that takes place is going to benefit every single student, which is why I think that, or I would recommend you being very flexible coming into it. Just be very open-minded, because not all of your students are like you, and they're not all like one another. And so that's why I like using a variety of strategies or resources. So hopefully through all of the exposure, someone or they all latch onto something that works for them. And I guess if you are not sure where to start, the monthly guidance lessons are a great place, because then you can take that month and just really dive into the topics discussed there, and try to find things that fit with that theme or topic, to kind of continue like the discussion or movement in that area.